Hey, Mike.
Turner.
Welcome back. So now that everybody's had a chance to discuss our three questions of the day, I thought Mike and I would come back up on stage and kind of summarize what each of our tables talked about. And Mike, actually, if you could bring Rob back up too, he might have some input because he didn't get a chance to jump over to your table.
Yes.
Some of the conversations that you had. So we'll bring the three of us back up.
Great idea.
There he is. All right, great. So our first question was, what challenges are you facing in retaining and recruiting employees over the past 6 months? And obviously those past 6 months have been a very interesting 6 months to say the least. And I think at our table, it was especially pertinent of how hard it was because a lot of the employees that were, hired over those 6 months had to get let go. And it was really hard for them. And now moving forward, how were they able to, recruit new employees, and what do those new employees look like? Mike, what was your table?
Yeah, on our table, a big theme of discussion was unemployment benefits right now and being an obstacle. And certain people are choosing, especially when we're talking about jobs that are more entry-level jobs or blue-collar jobs, that people are finding that they can sit on their couch and do nothing and make just as much, if not more, in some cases. So how do you continue to run a business that way when you can't reach those people that are sitting there making the logical choice? It almost kind of becomes more of an ethical thing of, I need to work, I need to contribute to society. But people are finding that decision hard.
And I think that goes to...
That's really interesting, and I have to believe that, and what you just said right there, Mike, was really key. The ethical, and that could actually end up being one of those attributes we're looking for at a time like right now. The kind of folks that are going, I'm a big picture person. I'm not just looking at the fact that I'm getting a check and I don't have to go out and do anything right now. But one day this is going to come to an end. And what will I have done in the meantime to prepare myself? So
right.
It could be that kind of opportunity where we end up attracting those folks that are going, I'm going to let the couch sitters sit. I'm going to go out and find myself a position right now. It may not be the best paying, but it sets me up for something long-term. And I'm going to be the person that showed up when nobody else was. And the true A player is going to think like that, going, how can I get ahead of everybody right now? And so I wouldn't let that discourage us.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Goes back to, your company's mission and your company's drive. It has to be appealing to people, and hopefully it's encouraging enough to get them up and back to work because they want to go back to that company. They want to push that mission forward and advance that mission.
Well, I go back to Rob's job description that he read, and that's something right there that struck me when going out and trying to recruit those people. More than likely, that's not going to speak to the person that wants to sit on their couch, right? Yeah. That's going to speak more towards the people that you're looking for.
Yep. That's well put, and that's why we got to be so thoughtful putting that thing together. That's going to only pique the interest of that person that we really, really want. We don't care that anybody else hears it. In fact, we hope they don't.
Good point.
So the second question. What are we doing right in our community, and how can we continue to ensure that our pipeline of talent is continuous and meets the needs of our local business? At my table, there was a lot of high school age employees that were hired, and it was generally their first jobs. And those attributes that Rob mentioned are present no matter the age of the employee. That drive to come to work, that want might be a little less structured and not as honed in as maybe a seasoned, experienced employee, but all those attributes are there in some form, and you still can identify those A players no matter the age or what position they have in the company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at my table, we really focused on stewardship of the employees and how we're hiring employees and picking them. We're picking them based on how they reflect on the company inside the community, and using that as a tool of attraction as well, to say, hey, this employee is out there. He's showing that he's an A player. He's showing he's an A player in the community, and that could be a critical piece to that.
Yeah, and what that does, it also serves to add to reputation of the organization, and it makes the organization shine bright in the community for those other folks that may be looking for a place that is mission driven, that's community focused, and that's such a win for everybody.
Great.
And that last question, where are you recruiting from? And are you finding your workforce, how far do you have to look for your workforce? Traditionally, the higher the skill, the further they're willing to look. And the wrinkle for this year is what role, if any, is that work from home model having on your recruitment efforts? In ours, it was mostly looking local for their talent, and unfortunately, they didn't get to make it to that work from home model, and it kind of has made this two-class system of the essential worker and the worker who can work from home. There's these kind of two classes, and it's not an option for a lot of people to be able to work from home. And we have to, maintain when you're looking for that A player, have that in consideration. Is this something that can be a work from home model, and is that something that works for both the employer and the employee? I see Chuck asked a question earlier that I didn't get to, but he was mentioning he was hiring somebody for a position, and that person wanted a purely virtual environment, and he had to explain to them that that's not what the position was. That's not what it entailed. So it's kind of that give take that both the employee and employer have to agree on what that looks like.
Yeah, and to expand on that too, with Charles, it was there was like an expectation. So the job description was clear that it was an in-person position. However, it was something where the person expected it to be work from home anyways, even though it was laid out as in that job description. So, other than that piece, really, it was mostly locally focused too, but accepting of others that, also decide to come in and actually show up and do a job interview. So that's kind of the breadth that we went with.
Yeah, and Kim at our group right there has talked about just how important it is that you kind of alluded to this, Turner, that we really look for ways to be able to integrate both of those in there and look for ways to be able to create more opportunities for remote and be able to figure that out, and being really thoughtful and deliberate about when we actually do have them come in and check in and what the purpose is, and have it be meaningful, not just because this is what we do or because every Wednesday we always get together, because we always have, and just being really thoughtful what really makes sense for all of us and for the individual. And then there's got to be that, and what Charles ran into was someone who was inflexible, going, nope, it's got to be this way or not. And they were probably saved some grief on that one, but it's unfortunate that that person had interjected their own expectation and was not upfront about that. So that was unfortunate. But I think just working together to find that sweet spot that everybody's got what they're needing, and business is happening. We're being efficient, we're being productive, and missions being served. But it may take some work to do that, especially in this climate right now.
Right.
All right. So with that, I will begin to wrap it up here. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Rob, for coming up and sharing the other table's experiences and your experience as well, Rob, and fitting that in. We're going to move on now. We'll be back tomorrow. It'll be the same time. It'll be the same place. I will send out a direct link at about 11 o'clock tomorrow to kind of make it a little easier to get in. I know some of you had some issues with that. So and it'll be a similar format, but we'll have a new topic. And that topic will be, now that we have our A players in place, how do we keep them here? And how do we keep them being productive? So thanks again to Rob, Mike, for facilitating. And we're going to go out of presentation mode. Thank you all for participating, and we will see you tomorrow.
All right. Take care, everyone. See you tomorrow.